Something I wanted to talk to you about is, well, this morning I did a video live on Instagram and realized the volume was not on, or it was really bad. And listen, I'm in Costa Rica, so it's hard to get equipment here. It takes months. So if I have a shitty microphone, I'm stuck with it. Anyway, this mic is better. And what I was talking about this morning is this idea that I don't think all therapists should be therapists. and I'm including myself in this. I don't think all therapists should be therapists. I mean, it's the same with any profession, right? I mean, should all lawyers be lawyers? Should all doctors be doctors? Should all presidents be presidents, right? And so, yes, in therapy, in my business, my line of work, there are a lot of therapists who should not be therapists. And one of the things I struggle with, this is the end of the book, Shit Your Therapist Would Never Tell You, which I'm writing. I'm kind of at the end, and I'm thinking about my journey, and one of the things I struggle with even still is, should I even be a therapist? Meaning, am I appropriate? Am I qualified? I mean, yes, I have the letters after my name, and I took the test and did the hours, but because I went rogue like 15 years ago, there's a part of me that wonders if the way that I show up, the way that I practice is helping people, and it's kind of the demons that I live with. And in my new book, which you can read on Substack as I write it, I talk about how after my divorce, I made a promise to myself to be in my solid self. And one of the ways that I kind of work through this is I ask myself, what's the alternative, right? So like if I'm not going to work in a way that's honest to me, what's the alternative? And the alternative would be to put on like slacks. Well, not necessarily put on slacks. That's an exaggeration, but be more clinical, have an office, right? Like the way that I see, basically execute all the shoulds that I learned in therapy school. And if I did that, I would be hypocritical because I wouldn't be showing up in my solid self. I would be showing up in kind of a watered down should version of what a therapist should look like based on grad school. And I think grad school is outdated. I think about the concepts, whether it's 60s, 70s, 80s, or even further back. There was no social media. There was no blogging. There was no documenting your story. There were no podcasts. And so a lot of therapists didn't show themselves because just the world wasn't like that. And so it created this kind of more professional relationship with your client. And then with social media and the explosion of coaches, there's been a lot more gray. And I do believe that because a lot of coaches are just coaching because they have big followings or because they're great at giving advice, they never learn the way to be neutral or hold space, kind of the way that a therapist would. And I'm not saying that they're trying to be therapists, but because it's such a, blurred line, I think a lot of coaches shouldn't be helping people because they're not qualified, because they didn't, because just because you took a workshop over a weekend doesn't mean you could really help people. Well, what I struggle with and what I've written about in my new book is I may be one of the therapists that maybe shouldn't be therapists, but I refuse to, I feel like I've swam too far to turn back, and I refuse to practice in that alternate way because then I'm being hypocritical. And so my only choice is to be in my solid self and to work in a way that feels honest to me. And if that means no office, if that means meet me at the coffee shop, if that means let's do a walk and talk, or, me coming with you instead of at you, meeting you where you're at, if that means that we're going to work out together, and if we're going to talk about life, let's do life while we're talking. I don't know. So be it. I think my one of my purposes in life, in this field, is to be stumbling to be the mad scientist, to play my sandbox, ultimately to humanize myself. And I feel like there's so much power in connecting dots to your story. And if that makes sense, if there's a character arc and your story makes sense in that way, then I feel like that's the nod for from the universe. I'm not someone that has like strong intuition and feeling, but I always go back to my story, and maybe that's kind of where the message I want to leave with you is this idea of trusting your story. If you're able to connect dots, if you're not, then I feel like there's misalignment. I feel like maybe you have drifted. But if you're able to connect dots, if you're able to see why something happened and how that happening has gotten you here and how that is slowly becoming greater than you, and what is coming out of this is a sense of purpose, then I think you are on the right track. And that's basically what I hold on to show up in the way that I do. Because maybe my job wasn't or isn't to just see clients and help people in that way. And thank God there are so many therapists that do that, session after session. Um, Maybe my job was to kind of shake shit up, and in this little corner of space, to get people to think of other ways that could help people that isn't standard, right? That isn't what they learned in therapy school. Because I do believe that therapy school is outdated. I do believe the people putting together that criteria, the curriculum, and what it takes to help other people. I think all of that, I think foundationally is pretty solid, but I think it needs a hard reset. I think it needs an update. So anyway, if you want to read more about my inner journey and struggles, as I talk more about the behind the scenes on the whole therapist journey, you could follow and read in real time as I write this book. Shit your therapist would never tell you. Anyway, thank you for following me and giving me a sense of purpose.